Yeah, I'm 10, 12 years in, I got 4 MVPs and 4 championships, like, but do I still want to do this? You know what I'm saying?
You know how hard it is.
Some people say, I want to go play baseball.
8 months after throwing shade at MJ on LeBron's podcast, KD is back, and he's standing 10 toes down. In his latest Ringer interview, he takes another shot at MJ. Now, a leaked phone conversation seems to suggest this isn't random, but a coordinated push to elevate LeBron's legacy. Let's break it down. The words that broke the internet. March 17th, 2026. Kevin Durant sits down with Michael Lee for The Ringer for one of the most anticipated interviews of the NBA season. At 37 years old, playing for the Houston Rockets, KD is less than points behind Michael Jordan's career total of 32,292 on the all-time scoring list. He has already passed Wilt Chamberlain. He has already passed Dirk Nowitzki. He is days away from one of the most significant individual milestones in the history of basketball. And when Lee asked him about MJ, about the controversy, about the comments, about whether he regrets any of it, KD does not blink. He's the standard. He's the blueprint of this whole thing. That is where he starts. And then he says something that surprises almost everyone. He doubles down. He stands by every single word he said back in July 2025 on LeBron's podcast. No apology, no clarification, just KD, unfiltered, refusing to let the noise change what he believes is simply the truth. To understand why those words still carry so much heat, why the basketball world is still divided over what he said nearly a year later, you have to go back to where all of this started. It started, like most NBA controversies do, with a microphone on and the truth coming out sideways. July 2025. LeBron James and Steve Nash are sitting down with Kevin Durant for part 2 of their Mind the Game podcast. The episode is called What Happened in Brooklyn, but Brooklyn is almost beside the point. What happens in this conversation is something that NBA fans are still talking about nearly a year later, and what makes it so combustible is that nobody expected it. KD is not a man who needs to prove anything. So when he sits down on LeBron's platform and drops a line that shakes the entire basketball world, it isn't because he slips, it is because he means it. Here is what happens. KD is deep into a conversation about commitment, about what it takes to stay locked in to the grind of being elite for a long, long time. He is talking about the mental side of the game, the sacrifices, the recommitment, the mental contract you have to sign with yourself over and over again throughout your career.
You got to recommit and sign that contract with yourself every so often.
He is building towards something, and then he gets there.
Yeah, I'm 10, 12 years in, I got 4 MVPs and 4 championships, like, but do I still want to do this?
KD is painting a picture here. He is talking about the moment every great player hits, that crossroads where the hunger has to be consciously renewed, where you have to ask yourself the hard question. And then he gets to the part that lights everything on fire.
Some people say, I want to go play baseball.
Right?
Yeah. And then I want to come back.
He pauses there, just for a beat, and then LeBron's laugh fills the room.
Well, some people say, I'm going to go 22 straight. You know what I'm saying? So
That is it. That is the whole thing. 8 seconds of audio. And it turns the basketball world sideways. Because nobody in that room says MJ's name. They don't have to. The play baseball line is a direct, unmistakable reference to MJ's 1993 retirement, when he walked away from the game after his father James Jordan was murdered and pursued minor league baseball, honoring a dream his father had for him. And the 22 straight line is just as obvious. It is LeBron sitting right there in the room, being praised for never taking a break, never stepping away, never choosing baseball over basketball. LeBron laughs, Nash laughs, and KD keeps talking like he just said the most normal thing in the world. To understand why this blows up the way it does, you have to understand the emotional weight behind what KD is casually referencing. MJ's father, James Jordan, was shot and killed in July 1993 during a robbery. MJ had just won his 3rd straight championship. He was at the absolute peak of his powers, the most dominant player on earth, and he walked away from it all. Not because he was bored, not because basketball broke him, because he was a son who had just lost his father and wanted to honor him by chasing the sport they both loved, baseball. He came back in March 1995 and then went on to win 3 more championships in a row, another 3-peat. So when KD frames that whole story as a lifestyle choice, as one path among many that a player might take when they need to reset, and LeBron is sitting there laughing about it, MJ loyalists hear something very specific. They hear 2 men reducing one of the greatest, most painful chapters of Michael Jordan's life to a punchline about commitment levels. The clip goes viral within hours. X and Instagram erupt. Reddit's NBA forum fills with threads calling it disgraceful. What makes it worse for KD specifically is the optics. He is sitting on LeBron's platform. He is the guest. And in the minds of many fans, that makes the whole thing feel staged, like LeBron set the table and KD sat down and ate. Like the whole baseball line was the meal they planned to serve from the jump. One prominent YouTuber covering the fallout put it bluntly at the time. The fact that LeBron was laughing, that Nash was laughing, that nobody pushed back or offered context, it made the whole thing feel manufactured, intentional. A coordinated attempt to reshape how the public views MJ's legacy so that LeBron's own legacy looks better by comparison. Now, KD has been pretty consistent about his position on MJ over the years. He has called MJ the GOAT going back to at least 2020, when he famously replied to a fan on Twitter who said LeBron was the greatest. That's crazy. Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. This is not a man who secretly believes LeBron is better. He has said over and over again that MJ is the standard, the blueprint. Back in 2022 on the Boardroom's The ETC's podcast, after the NBA's 75th anniversary celebration, KD put it like this: they're both unique and sitting in their own different areas of greatness. And when you see everybody in the same room like that, you realize, why the hell are we always comparing these guys? But context doesn't always travel well on social media. What travels is the clip, the laugh, the baseball line. And within 24 hours, KD is the most talked about man in basketball, and not for reasons he would choose. He does not stay quiet. Almost immediately after the backlash starts building, KD fires back on X. No apology, no clarification, just KD being KD. MJ retired 3 times. It's okay to call that out, my brother. I got $1 million worth of MJ shoes in my house, ha ha ha. It's okay. He retired 3 times and still the GOAT. I'ma applaud that just like I'ma applaud playing 22 years at an elite level. And when another person pushes back harder, KD doubles down even further. Congrats to those people, and I'll say MJ retired twice every day for the rest of my life. What are you gonna do about it? To his supporters, this is the real KD, unfiltered, refusing to bow to a crowd that he believes is being emotional instead of logical. To his critics, it is a man so deep in the narrative he helped start that he cannot even see his way out of it. The fire is just getting started. The legends speak, and they do not hold back. When the clip spreads, the people who react the loudest are not the podcast hosts or the analysts who covered today's game. They are the players who were there. The ones who actually laced up their shoes during MJ's era. The ones who ran alongside him, against him, and watched him up close. And they are furious. The reaction from former players is sweeping, and it is severe. It starts with names like Stacey King, Kwame Brown, and Rob Parker. And it builds to Shaq, Charles Barkley, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Magic Johnson. Each one comes at the situation from a different angle, but they are all saying the same thing underneath. Stacey King gets there first and hardest. King is a 3-time champion who played for the Chicago Bulls alongside MJ from 1988 to 1995. He is not a neutral observer here. He was in the building. He watched what MJ went through. He knows what those years were. And when he hears LeBron and KD laughing about baseball on a podcast, he reacts with the kind of energy you only get when something feels deeply personal. He renames LeBron's show on the spot.
The legacy
What
of
is it
Michael
called?
Jordan.
Is it called? Was it Cry Me a River?
Cry Me a River. I think
Cry
that's
Me a
it
River
called, yeah.
podcast? Oh my God. That's
He does not stop there.
great players don't have to tell people they're great.
Yeah. That's true.
You let fans do that. You let people debate it on talk radio and podcasts.
King's point here cuts straight to the nerve. The argument is simple. If you are truly great, you don't need a podcast to make the case. Your rings make the case. Your game makes the case. The fact that KD and LeBron feel the need to reframe MJ's legacy while praising each other's longevity, that tells you something about their own insecurities, King says. He goes on to call out the hypocrisy on the longevity argument specifically, because KD is on that podcast talking about commitment and showing up and what it takes to stay in the league for 20 plus years. But King pulls the numbers.
But he failed to mention, the load management and this guy only playing in no more than 3 times in his career.
3 times in nearly 2 decades. That is how many times KD has played a full 82-game regular season. And LeBron, once. 1 time in over 20 years. Meanwhile, MJ played 82 games 9 times in his career, and then kept playing deep into the playoffs on top of that. King does not let up on KD's individual record either, noting that Durant has yet to prove he can win a title without Steph Curry as his co-star. Every run he has had as the clear-cut number 1 option, Brooklyn, Phoenix, Houston, has fallen short. Then Kwame Brown enters the conversation, and Kwame does not do nuance.
LeBron, you can get out of that, ain't your boy. Look at LeBron. He got his goddamn teeth out. Steve Nash, at least he know he'll line something.
Kwame's core argument is that KD and LeBron are not just being disrespectful, they are being deliberately ignorant. In his view, there is no excuse for either of them to talk about MJ's baseball retirement without acknowledging why it happened.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan won 3 championships in a row. He 3-peated jackasses. And his father got killed, murdered this summer.
He keeps going.
MJ retired in October and dedicated himself to baseball, which is a sport that his father wanted him to play. So that's why he played baseball.
He is not done.
He tried to commit himself and dedicate himself because he was in a mourning phase. Smart ass idiots, because he lost his father. He played baseball, was gone from the game.
For Kwame, the most unforgivable part is not the baseball reference itself. It is that both LeBron and KD are students of the game. They know MJ. They have studied him. They have been influenced by him. There is no world, Kwame says, where either of them did not know exactly what that retirement was really about, which means the laugh was not a mistake. It was a choice. Charles Barkley comes in with a cooler temperature, but an equally sharp blade. Chuck frames the entire thing as part of a bigger problem in the modern NBA. The load management culture, the entitlement, the gap between what players get paid and what they actually deliver on the court.
If you're going to make $50, $60 million a year and just say, hey, you know what? I'm only going to play 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4. At some point, the fan going to be saying...
Barkley then gets to KD specifically. He is measured. He does not yell. But what he says lands harder for being calm.
Kevin's a great player. I think that his legacy is complicated. I don't like any guys who join super teams.
Barkley is essentially saying KD's place in the GOAT conversation has always been complicated, and taking shots at MJ's retirement while sitting on LeBron's platform does not help his case one bit. MJ goes in a different direction. For MJ, this is about toughness. It is about a generation of players who have decided that rest is a strategy and contact is optional.
You play basketball 2.5 hours a day, 3 hours a day. Right? That's your job. That's what you get paid to do as an NBA player.
And he connects that mentality directly to the arrogance of sitting on a podcast and talking about how dedicated you are.
What are you doing the other 21 hours? I mean, to me, that's when you should be preparing for your next day of work.
MJ's argument is blunt. Modern players have the easiest job in the history of professional sports. They play the fewest games of any major league. They make the most money. They have more resources for recovery than any player in history. And they still need to be rested. And they still need podcasts to explain why their dedication is actually impressive. Magic Johnson brings a different kind of grief to the table. Less anger, more sadness. Magic's issue is the culture, the way today's players are all friends, all business partners, all on each other's social media.
I mean, they don't hate each other.
That's
they don't like. See, I hated Larry and every Celtic. I really don't like you, but you're my little brother.
The competitive hatred that drove his era is gone. And that, he says, is a big part of why the game does not feel the same anymore.
Now I love you because you out of that green and white. That's what it was, right? You the Celtics, Lakers hate each other, disliked each other. So it made for great TV and people tuning in.
Magic connects this directly to the viewership numbers. Ratings have been going down, and Magic argues that this buddy-buddy culture, where stars build brands together instead of trying to destroy each other on the court, is a major reason why. And when KD and LeBron sit on a podcast laughing together about MJ's retirement, Magic sees it as the perfect symbol of everything wrong with the modern game. Kevin Garnett adds the conditioning angle. He does not believe modern players are actually in good enough shape to play full seasons, and he says it plainly. I don't think the NBA player today is in tip-top shape. I think they think they're in shape until they talk to guys that are actually in shape. His argument is that the players who came before them practiced every single day at game speed. Full 5-on-5 contact. Hours. That was how you built the body to play 82 games and then turn around and go deep in the playoffs. Today's players do individual workouts with a trainer at half speed and then wonder why they are always hurt. Paul Pierce echoes the same sentiment, that players from earlier eras played through injuries that would bench today's stars for weeks. And for both KG and Pierce, the irony is sharp. LeBron and KD are talking about longevity, like it is a badge of honor, while both of them routinely miss large portions of their seasons. The collective message from the legends is consistent. They are not just pushing back on one podcast comment. They are pushing back on what that comment represents. A generation of players who got everything before they earned it, who are too comfortable to play the game the way it was meant to be played, and who are now trying to rewrite history to justify their place in it. KD doubles down, and the Ringer interview changes everything. Here is what a lot of people get wrong about this story. They assume that KD is going to walk it back, that the blowback is so severe, the Stacey Kings, the Shaqs, the Barkleys all piling on, that eventually KD is going to come back out and say he was misunderstood, that he loves MJ, that the baseball thing was a joke. That does not happen. Not in summer 2025, not in fall 2025, and not when March 2026 comes around and The Ringer publishes a deep dive feature with Michael Lee exploring KD's place in the all-time scoring conversation. At the time that piece drops, KD is sitting just 68 points behind MJ's career, total of 32,292 points. He has already passed Wilt Chamberlain. He has passed Dirk Nowitzki. He is the most efficient scorer in the history of the game, the only player ever to shoot 55, 40, 90 in a season, and he has done it more than once. He is days away from the most talked about scoring milestone in NBA history, and the only thing almost anyone wants to ask him about is what he said on that podcast 7 months earlier. He does not flinch. He's the standard. He's the blueprint of this whole thing. That is how KD opens his defense of MJ's legacy in The Ringer. Peace. Not with an apology, not with a hedge, with a full-throated declaration that MJ is and remains the highest standard the game has ever produced. But then he explains himself. And this is where things get interesting, because what KD is actually saying, when you strip away the noise, is not that MJ was less committed. It is that the scoring record itself is almost misleading without context, and he does not want anyone to misread what it means when he eventually passes Jordan on the all-time list. His words are precise. It's true. MJ took time off. It's times where he was like, I'm sick of the game. I want to take time off and regroup and come back into the game. And that's what he did. Bron, he played straight through. He keeps going. The only reason I'm even close to MJ is because he retired twice. He could have played past 42. I would say MJ took off 4 to 5 years combined. You give him 300 more games of 30 points a night. That's not an exaggeration. That's what he averaged, 30. Think about that for a second. KD is about to pass MJ on the all-time scoring list, one of the most significant individual milestones in the history of basketball. And his first move is to tell the world that it means less than it looks. That MJ would be far ahead of him if he had simply kept playing. That the gap between them on the scoring list is not a statement about who was better. It is a statement about choices, circumstances, and time. I don't want to take that away from him when I pass him. I think that's key for any historian to know that about MJ. It's cool to still be in that same realm as him, but he's more than a 32,000 point scorer to me. This is the version of KD that his supporters have always pointed to when the critics call him disrespectful. This is not a man tearing MJ down. This is a man who has studied the game so deeply that he wants to make sure the record reflects the full picture, not just the numbers, but the context behind the numbers. And he draws a direct line back to the podcast moment. He does not pretend it was taken out of context. He does not say the laugh was nothing. He stands on it. It's true. 2 words. No elaboration needed. KD is not going to apologize for a factual statement just because the internet decided to be angry about it. What is worth noting here is the longer arc of KD's relationship with MJ's legacy, because it is far more consistent than his critics want to admit. Back in January 2024, in an interview with the Arizona Republic, KD was asked why he is never really included in the GOAT conversation the way MJ and LeBron are. His answer was direct. Why shouldn't I be in that? That's the question you should ask. Why not? What haven't I done? He is not wrong to ask the question. He is the only 55, 40, 90 player in history. He has 2 rings, 2 finals MVPs, an MVP, 10 All-Star selections, and one of the most technically pure scoring games the league has ever seen. If you remove the team-jumping narrative and just looked at the basketball, the argument for KD being in that top tier is real, but the narrative matters. And the narrative, fairly or not, includes the Warriors move, the Brooklyn departure, the Phoenix stint. And when you sit on LeBron's podcast and laugh while MJ's grief is turned into a casual talking point about commitment levels, you give your critics exactly the ammunition they are looking for. In November 2025, just a few months after the podcast fallout, KD appeared on Up and Adams and called MJ his dream interview guest. That's the GOAT, man. That's just the perfect basketball player, perfect businessman. Like he just taught everybody how to be great on the court and also how to maximize what you do off the floor too. He was perfect, man. Perfect is the word KD uses. Not great, not impressive, perfect. This is not a man who has a secret agenda against MJ. This is a man who processes the history of the game analytically, who sees MJ's retirements as a historical data point that needs to be documented accurately, not as a character flaw or a weakness. And that analytical view, delivered in the middle of a laugh-filled podcast with LeBron, reads very differently than it would in a one-on-one interview with a journalist. Context is everything. And context, as KD himself said, is exactly what historians need. The Ringer piece does not spark a new wave of backlash. By March 2026, the conversation has moved on. The major reactions from former players all happened in the summer and fall of 2025. What the Ringer interview does is give KD the last word, and he uses it carefully. He praises MJ. He contextualizes the scoring race. He refuses to apologize. And he frames the whole episode as something that serious basketball historians should be grateful someone said out loud. Whether the legends who went nuclear on him agree with that framing is a different question. King would probably still say it is a Crimea River moment. Kwame would probably still say KD knows exactly what he was doing. Barkley would probably still say KD is not on that list. But here is the thing about KD that makes this story more complicated than the outrage machine wants it to be. He has never actually said MJ is not the GOAT. He has never claimed LeBron is better. He has never tried to crown himself above either of them. What he has done, consistently over 15 years, is refuse to let the emotional weight of MJ's legacy stop him from talking about facts. Facts like MJ retired twice in the middle of his prime, which is documented. Facts like, if you give MJ 300 more games at 30 points per night, he is not only still the GOAT, he is even more unreachable than he already is. Facts like, LeBron played 22+ seasons without a break, and that is extraordinary. Both things can be true at once. The issue is that nuance does not go viral. A laugh on a podcast does. A play baseball line does. And once the clip is out there, the story writes itself, regardless of what the man actually meant. KD is 37 years old, chasing immortality on the scoring list, carrying a young Rockets team on his back, and still refusing to be anyone's yes man. He is about to pass Michael Jordan in career points. He will do it knowing full well that MJ would have left him in the dust if the circumstances of his life had been different. And he will say that out loud too, because that is who KD has always been. Not a follower, not a puppet, just a man who thinks too clearly about basketball to keep his mouth shut, even when the whole world is telling him he should. Like this video? Click on the card showing on your screen for more.